Unveiling your sacred healing. 7 miraculous signs of trauma revealed for divine deliverance in the quaint village of Springfield. Nestled between rolling hills under the watchful gaze of the heavens, an extraordinary event was about to unfold. As Sarah sat in the quiet of St. Mary's Chapel, her heart was a tempest, battling shadows of trauma that crept through the cracks of her family life. Here, in this sacred haven, she wrestled with the weight of her children's nighttime terrors, whispered fears that seemed to wrap around them like thick fog. It was here that she discovered the profound depth of her faith, a flicker of hope in the overwhelming dark. The air crackled with anticipation. A rumor had spread through Springfield. The pastor spoke of 7 miraculous signs. Signs of healing and divine protection. The prospect ignited a flame within Sarah's weary heart, but doubt lingered at the edges of her mind. She yearned for St. Michael's watchful gaze to shield her family, yet faced with scientific skepticism, she questioned if miracles were real or merely tales spun from wishful thinking. As storms raged outside one evening, lightning illuminating the skies, the prayer group organized a family devotion night, an invitation to the entire village. The atmosphere in St. Mary's was electric. Prayers surged with fervor, rising like incense to touch the very mantle of heaven. Yet, despair pressed heavy on Sarah's soul. Would her prayers ever reach God's ears? She felt out of place, surrounded by vibrant faith while her heart trembled in the grip of uncertainty. Then, like a divine whisper, her son, Matthew, stood before the congregation. His small frame pulsed with light, and with innocent clarity, he shared his vision of an angel, a brilliant figure wrapped in warmth, soothing him through his darkest hours. Stunned faces turned toward Sarah, disbelief and wonder intertwining in the hush that fell over the chapel. Was this the first sign? Could it be true? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The murmurs of the crowd surged, a blend of reverential awe and disbelief. Whispers of miracle floated like a fragile promise. Yet, as Sarah searched her neighbor's eyes, questions draped over her heart. What did it mean to believe? She was torn between the ecstatic thrill of faith and cold, hard logic. But as the night deepened, each member of the congregation found themselves woven together, fortified by Matthew's revelation. Shimmering candles cast dancing shadows around them, illuminating faces filled with unwavering love. In that moment of collective belief, Sarah felt a warmth swell in her heart. The journey of healing had only just begun. Each prayer was a drop of gold in the chalice of the divine, and within that sacred space, the strength of community faith shone brighter than fear. Yet the weight of doubt still lingered like a storm cloud overhead. As the service concluded, Sarah found solace in the eyes of her children. They were no longer just scared. They were filled with something new: hope. Could it be that the miraculous signs they sought were beginning to unfold? With anticipation, Sarah held that thought tightly, ready to embrace whatever divine mystery lay ahead. The path to healing wasn't clear, but she felt they were on the brink of something life-altering. What awaited them in the chapters to come? As the last echoes of prayer lingered in St. Mary's Chapel, Sarah stepped out into the cool night air, a gentle renewal washing over her spirit. The faint glow of candles flickered behind her, illuminating the night like stars sprinkled across the heavens. She grasped her children's hands tightly, and together they walked home, each step resonating with the promise of hope they had just felt. Matthew chattered excitedly about his vision, his innocence painting a picture of divine encounters and celestial beings. Sarah listened, her heart filling with warmth. It was as if the burden of doubt began to lift, replaced by the soft caress of belief. Could it be that the very signs of divine intervention were already revealing themselves? In the days that followed, the village buzzed with renewed faith. Strangers became friends as they gathered at the chapel for prayer, a tapestry interwoven with heart and devotion. Each testimony shared seemed to brighten the village. The profound impact of one tiny voice, the voice of a child, spurred others, igniting a flame that could not be quenched. As each story unfolded, miracles spoke their truth through the mouths of the faithful. Yet, Sarah wrestled with a growing unrest within her. The warmth that had settled in her heart battled with memories of fear, and the darkness of their past still loomed over her children like a shadow. She found herself kneeling at the altar each night, pouring her heart out to God. Lord, help us to see the signs. Help us to believe fully. One evening, while engulfed in prayer, the chapel filled with a hushed peace. Candlelight flickered softly, casting a golden hue across the worn wooden pews. In the stillness, Sarah felt a presence and opened her eyes. There, standing at the back of the chapel, was a figure, a woman with radiant light surrounding her. The breathtaking sight caused Sarah's breath to catch. "Trust in his plan," the woman said, her voice soft yet commanding, resonating through the very marrow of Sarah's being. "The signs are here, child. Open your heart wide and let them in." With a blink, the vision vanished, leaving Sarah in stunned silence. Had it truly happened? The tension in her heart began to ease as realization washed over her. Perhaps the signs of healing were not solely miraculous events but moments of connection, love, and community. That night, the prayers of St. Mary's took on a new fervor. Sarah rallied the group to share stories of small victories, her daughter's newfound courage to sleep alone, Matthew's peace after nightmares diminished, the neighbor's healed heart after a loss. Each testimony built faith like bricks in a wall of hope, creating a protective barrier against doubt. Yet still, a lingering worry ebbed at Sarah's heart. What if the shadows came back? What if faith faltered under the weight of reality? In her quiet moments, doubt whispered too loudly. Could perseverance transform fear into faith? As the chapel dimmed and the congregation sang their final hymn of the night, an overwhelming sense of expectancy filled the air. Was it possible they were on the verge of witnessing the miraculous signs spoken about? Excitement bubbled within her, a divine hunger awakening. Little did Sarah know that the greatest challenge of her journey lay ahead, one that would test the very fabric of her newfound belief. With the dawn approaching, she couldn't shake the thought, what might God reveal in the days to come? As dawn broke over the village, the sun poured its golden light upon St. Mary's chapel, delivering warmth and a fresh perspective. Sarah awoke with butterflies fluttering in her heart. The promise of a new day filled her with both a sense of hope and anxiety. She gathered her children around the breakfast table, the aroma of freshly baked bread soothing their spirits. Matthew recounted his vision from the night before, words spilling over like laughter at play. "Mom, do you think the lady in the chapel will come back?" he asked, eyes wide with wonder. Sarah's heart leapt. His innocent faith ignited something deep within her, a spark of longing for the same unwavering belief. "I hope so, dear." She was a reminder of something special, she replied, her voice infused with warmth. The village was alive with chatter as neighbors pooled together, creating a rich tapestry of fellowship. While Sarah smiled and participated in conversations, her mind roamed to the empty spaces of her worries. Deep down, she was yearning for clarity. What did trusting God truly mean? That morning, she decided to take a walk, to clear her mind and let the warmth of the sun embrace her. As she strolled through fields of wildflowers, the beauty astounded her. Every bloom seemed to shout praise. Every leaf sang a song of gratitude. Nature's presence was a powerful reminder that life thrived despite hardship. As she approached the chapel once more, she noticed a ripple of anticipation in the air. The villagers had gathered, their faces aglow with excitement and hope. Was something remarkable about to happen? Sarah's heart raced. She joined them, feeling their collective energy as they lined up to speak, each person eager to share their stories of healing and transformation. Then it happened. A wise elder stepped forward, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "My friends," she began, "we have faced darkness, but together we have found our light. Many of us have felt the presence of divine grace among us." Her words drifted through the crowd. Angels in their midst, miracles on the horizon. Each declaration was met with whispers of agreement, sparking an unquenchable excitement. Yet, as the energy enveloped the gathering, a shadow crept across Sarah's mind. How could they sustain this faith when trials returned? Looming, Matthew squeezed her hand, pulling her from her thoughts. "Mom, I'm not scared anymore," he announced, voice bubbling with joy. "I think we can beat the shadows together." Tears pooled in Sarah's eyes, a mixture of gratitude and relief. "Yes, we can, my brave boy," she whispered, wiping a tear from her cheek. When the elder invited those struggling to come to the front for prayer, Sarah felt the pull. Would she take that step toward faith, for herself and her children? The fear of the past urged her to stay back, but the hope in her heart washed over her, calling her to action. With a deep breath, she grasped Matthew's and her daughter's hands tighter. They moved forward, the warmth of the community supporting them every step of the way. As she stood there, surrounded by loving souls, the moment felt sacred. The elder placed her hand on Sarah's shoulder and then on the shoulders of her children, and a collective prayer arose over them. Warmth cascaded through Sarah, melting away the cold grip of doubt. She felt the shadow of fear retreat, even if only a little, as the belief surged within her. "Go, and let your light shine," the elder said, her voice a soothing balm. As they opened their eyes, a glowing sense of peace enveloped the family. New hope ignited within Sarah, but a question surfaced: what would happen when the shadows returned? Would her belief endure when faced with the next trial? All she could do was hold on to the promise of faith, walking forward with an open heart. The day was just beginning, and the chapters of their journey were ready to unfold. Was this a true turning point, or just the beginning of an even greater test of faith? The day unfolded like a tapestry of color and sound as Sarah, Matthew, and little Emma stepped away from the chapel, the energy still humming in their hearts. The sun hung high in the sky, a majestic ball of golden warmth, illuminating their path as they walked toward home. But within Sarah, butterflies danced uneasily within their wings. Matthew skipped ahead, picking wildflowers. Each vibrant bloom reminded Sarah of the prayer they had just shared, a reminder that beauty flourished even after the storms. Emma, clutching a freshly picked daisy in her tiny hands, twirled with childlike joy. Sarah couldn't help but smile, yet questions lingered. Would this spark of faith hold amidst trials? That evening, as shadows loomed longer and the village quieted, Sarah settled the children into bed. She brushed their hair and tucked them in, whispering sweet dreams in their ears. After kisses goodnight, she sank down into the living room chair, every fiber of her being tempted to replay the day's events, clutching the feeling of warmth, the sense of camaraderie. But doubt pressed in like a fog. What if the calm was just a lull before the storm? She thought back to the elder's words. They were meant to uplift, yet they awakened a fear buried within. What about those who had been broken, slipping into shadows? Sarah closed her eyes, praying mostly for strength. "Lord, I need to understand. Help me see your plan," she uttered softly, the flickering candle providing a gentle glow. In that moment, it wasn't the tangible answers she sought, but the quiet assurance that God did indeed walk beside her. In the deep silence of night, a profound stillness enveloped her thoughts. Just then, she felt a soft breeze, as if carried through the chapel door long after it had closed. It whispered promises of protection and peace. Sarah opened her eyes, surprised to find the beam of moonlight pouring through the window, illuminating a small ornate cross hanging on the wall, a gift from her late grandmother. Something shifted within her. This journey was not solely hers. It was woven into something greater, a tapestry of faith shared. She remembered stories of others surviving trials, drawing strength from one another, reminding them faith had a way of growing in community. That life, with its ebb and flow of joy and hardship, was a shared experience. The great shepherd does not abandon his flock, not to the shadows nor to the storms of despair. Just as she had led her children to the altar for prayer, she was guided to come forth herself. With renewed courage, she whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Thank you, Lord, for surrounding me with love, The days passed, each one filled with whispers of hope. The village buzzed with stories of miracles: a sick neighbor healed, a lost child found. Sarah began to feel an unshakable connection, not only to those around her but to the heavenly. Bold trust growing where fear had once overshadowed her spirit. One afternoon, while weaving wreaths with other women of the village for a summer festival, a thought struck her. What if our stories could bring healing to others as well? She pondered. She could share her journey of faith, her struggles, the precious revelation that trusting in God could lead to transformative healing. But as she gathered her thoughts, another wave of uncertainty washed over her. Could she truly share her deepest fears? Were others ready to hear her truth? The persistent specter of doubt challenged her newfound belief. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and lavender, Sarah looked into her reflection in the window. She saw the flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. But what if this is a calling? She whispered to herself, her heart beating with both excitement and trepidation. What awaited Sarah as she prepared to reveal her story? Would it lead to the light she sought, or would it unveil deeper shadows? The mystery of divine purpose wove through her thoughts like a prayer. And within that moment, anticipation tinged the air, drawing back the curtain on the next chapter of her journey. What could God possibly have in store for her in this bold step forward? The morning sun crept quietly through the open window, casting delicate rays that danced across the floor. Sarah stirred, her heart waking to a new day filled with promise. Today felt different, charged with an exhilarating energy, perhaps the remnants of her whispered prayer the night before. She rose from her bed with a purpose, feeling fresh determination swell within her. As she made breakfast, she reflected on the previous conversations with the village women. Their laughter echoed in her mind, and she recalled how sharing their joys and burdens had formed a bond that transcended mere friendship. Each story they told was a thread woven tightly into the communal fabric of faith, and Sarah wanted to contribute her own. After breakfast, with Matthew's help, she tidied the little house, buzzing with a mix of passivity and excitement. Emma played nearby, her innocent giggles ringing through the air like angels singing. In that moment, Sarah felt like she held a small part of heaven in her home. Stepping outside, she took a deep breath, drawing in the freshness of morning. She glanced over to the village square, where preparations for the summer festival unfolded. Vendors set up stalls, and children ran in joyful spirals, their laughter a hymn in her ears. The warm air wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, and an idea took root in her heart. What if she stood among them and shared her truth? The thought melded with fear. Would her story resonate with others? Would they see the beauty of learning from pain? The gripping question loomed larger in her mind. Would the light she hoped to shine only illuminate her own shadows? Shaking off the apprehension, she decided to seek guidance once more. Lord, she prayed softly, show me the path to share my heart. Grant me clarity, and let your will be done. With each word, she felt burdens lift, replaced by an urge to trust. Around noon, as the sun blazed brightly overhead, Sarah met with the other women by the fountain in the square. They congregated to weave the final wreaths adorned with vibrant flowers. As laughter flowed, Sarah's heart raced. She wanted to speak, yet doubt nagged at her resolve like a persistent whisper. Suddenly, one of the women, and paused mid-laughter, her hands stilling. I've been thinking, our stories can be like bridges, can't they? Connecting us, leading us from the shadows to light? Surprised, Sarah felt her spirit soar. Could it be that divine inspiration had moved through Anne's words? She wanted to nod, to cheer the truth, but words clung to her tongue. How do I bridge that gap? Before Sarah could retreat inwardly, another woman, Lizzie, shared about her own struggles with doubt, how her faith felt feeble at times. Her vulnerability inspired murmurs of understanding from the others. There it was, the encouragement Sarah needed. Gathering her courage, she finally spoke up. I felt that too. A burden of doubt. But I realized something when I turned my fears into a testimony. It transformed them. Our stories can heal if we let them flow freely. A warm hush enveloped the small gathering, each woman absorbing the weight of her words. Time seemed to pause, hearts opening like flowers in the sun, each one reflecting the divine command to support each other. But even as they exchanged smiles, a small flicker of fear returned. The deeper elements of her truth, her struggles, fears, and the journey that lay ahead loomed in her mind. While she had ignited a small flame of hope with her words, would they be enough to illuminate the darker corners that still beckoned? The festival neared, and Sarah sensed a deeper preparation was needed, not just for herself but for those who would gather to hear. The light had begun to shine around her, yet within her was still the hesitation, the echoes from past doubts trailing behind. What awaited her at the festival? Would she share her truth fully? As she stood among her friends, she felt the energy of something profound threading through the air, a promise of unity and healing. There, on the cusp of revelation, she wondered, how would this story unfold? Would it lead to the freedom she sought, or would it reveal even deeper layers of herself? The pages of her life turned, hinting at the journey still ahead. Would she find the courage to embrace the call that God placed upon her heart? The swell of possibility surged within her again, leaving her with a question hanging softly in the air. What if this sharing of her story could lead her to a divine purpose she hadn't yet envisioned? The village square buzzed with excitement, the festival just moments away. The vibrant colors of the stalls painted a cheerful landscape, deep reds and bright yellows competing with the blue of the sky. Sarah took a step back, observing the joyful chaos, her heart a mix of elation and uncertainty. Would this festival be the stage she needed to share her truth? The warmth of the sun complemented the growing warmth in her chest, yet a tiny voice within protested. What if her story fell flat? What if no one understood? As she watched the preparations, she caught sight of Rebecca, a woman with whom she had shared laughter and sorrow in the past. Rebecca was setting up a stall adorned with delicate handcrafted items, yet she bore a solemn expression. Without thinking, Sarah approached her, sensing the heaviness that clung to her friend like a cloak. "Is everything all right?" Sarah asked softly, allowing compassion to wrap around her words. Rebecca looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I have so much fear. What if no one wants to hear my story? What if they judge me?" Sarah's heart ached at Rebecca's raw honesty. Here was a moment where their fears converged, like two rivers meeting, a moment pregnant with possibility. "You are not alone in that fear. I felt it too," she whispered, remembering her tremors of doubt just hours before. Rebecca's eyes widened slightly. "You?" "Yes," Sarah replied, "but I also believe our stories have power. They connect us, heal us." Inspired, Sarah continued, her voice a thread of sincerity weaving the air between them. "I'm learning that vulnerability doesn't weaken us. It makes us brave." Rebecca nodded slowly, her expression softening as light began to replace shadows. "You're right. Perhaps sharing is an act of courage." Their moment together felt electric, as if angels had descended to listen. Sarah smiled, reassured that they were moving toward a shared strength, a divine connection. As the horn blew to signal the festival's opening, excitement exploded like confetti. Sarah felt the shift within her. A new pulse of courage resonated with each laugh and cheer that erupted around her. She stepped away from Rebecca, glancing over the throng of villagers. They beckoned her, calling her to join them, to share the light and life of her experience. She remembered her prayer, the hushed words spoken to the Lord. "Show me the path to share my heart." Now, perhaps that path was clearer. With every step toward the center of the square, she felt the weight of anticipation lift. It was no longer just about her. It was about every woman who faced fear, every heart that needed healing. Sarah breathed deeply, feeling the encouraging pulse of the community, their collective heartbeat a backdrop to her fears. As the first notes of the festival songs filled the air, she stood at the edge of the crowd. The chatter grew louder, the laughter more vibrant, summoning her forward. An unearthly stillness settled on her soul despite the chaos. In just a moment, she could step into the circle and share her story. Yet, as the joyful music played and the laughter soared, doubt crept back. What if her truth didn't resonate? What if her vulnerability was met with silence? In that moment, she felt a nudge, as if the divine whispered, "Trust." Could it be? Could this festival be her platform for divine healing? Could her fears ultimately bring forth not just her story but the stories of others who needed the light as much as she did? Sarah turned toward the gathering, sensing the weight of anticipation on her shoulders, an invitation to release everything she had bottled up. What would happen if she embraced her reality right then and there? As she took a step forward, a question brewed within her. Was she ready to unveil the healing hidden within her journey? The answer would shape the unfolding of her day and perhaps the lives of those around her as well. The music swelled around Sarah, a sweet melody that entwined with the gentle murmur of voices. She felt as if the very air itself was charged with something significant, something divine. Deep breaths filled her lungs, and in that moment, something inside her shifted. It was as if the last thread of her doubt unraveled, leaving her with nothing but faith. Taking another step forward, she caught the eyes of several villagers. A sea of faces, each reflecting a myriad of emotions: curiosity, joy, empathy. The stories of their own hearts lingered behind their smiles, waiting for an invitation to be heard. A rush of warmth enveloped her, igniting a flicker of hope. What if sharing her story could inspire others? "Will you share with us?" came a voice, soft yet strong, cutting through the music. It was Rebecca, emerging from the crowd, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. The power of those words felt like a gentle push toward the precipice of her own potential. "Yes, yes, I will," Sarah whispered back, surprised at her own conviction. As she stepped into the center, light streamed down from the heavens as if God himself opened the skies. The rhythm of the festival slowed, and for a brief moment, the world around her faded into a quiet backdrop. In this sacred space, she stood bare in her truth, no longer alone. She felt the familiar pang of vulnerability yet held it with newfound bravery. "I'm here to share my story," she began, her voice a bit shaky but growing steadier with each word. A story of heartache, of betrayal, of healing and of hope. As she recounted her journey, her voice rose and fell like the waves of the sea. The pain of her past shaped her words. Yet amidst those shadows, she discovered light. The villagers leaned in closer, expressions shifting from curiosity to reverence. Could it be that her story resonated with their own untold tales? "I've walked through the wilderness of doubt," she continued, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and freedom. "But I learned that in our brokenness lies our beauty." A soft gasp rippled through the crowd, hearts echoing her essence. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not of despair but of liberation. Youthful laughter danced along with the notes of the festival music, mingling with cheers of encouragement. The air thickened with the prayers of the village, pulling her deeper into her testimony. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's the path to understanding. And when we share our stories, we forge connections that mend the broken and uplift the weary. The wisdom encased in her words wove through the crowd, igniting a sacred spark. She could see minds awakening, eyes shining with the recognition of their own battles, and hearts swelling with courage. "That is the miracle of sharing," Sarah proclaimed, emboldened. "When we unveil our wounds, we allow others to heal, to find solace in our shared struggles. It's a journey we take together." With every sentence, the weight of her fears melted away, replaced by the exhilarating energy of empowerment coursing through her spirit. Laughter erupted. A chorus of voices accompanied her, echoing affirmations, inviting others to stand and share their truths in turn. Hearts knit together in that square, folded into a divine tapestry woven of shared experiences. As the crowd rallied, Sarah felt her heart swell with something she had longed for: a sense of belonging and purpose. Yet, just as she began to grasp the divine mystery that was unfolding, a hush washed over them. In that stillness, a man in the back stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. His eyes glinted with a mix of pain and hope that cut through the air like a knife. "Your stories may flow like rivers, but must we not also confront the stones that block them?" In the silence that followed, Sarah's heart raced. What stones lay in her path? What darkness awaited in the corners of her heart? The question hung heavy, and all eyes turned toward her, awaiting her response. Was she ready to embrace not only the light but the shadows that danced just out of reach? With faith pulsing like a drum in her veins, she knew she had to confront the challenge ahead. Sarah stood before the crowd, her heart thundering in her chest. The man's words echoed in her mind, weaving a complex web of contemplation. Stones, she felt their weight, heavy and cold, the memories attached to them tugging at her heart like uninvited guests. She had shared her light, but now was the time to explore the shadows. Drawing a deep breath, she spoke carefully, her voice low yet filled with determination. Yes, we must confront the stones. Each story we carry shines light. But what if we don't address the barriers that block our path? Gasps surrounded her, the audience drawn into the intimate truth she dared to unearth. There are moments in life when you feel lost, when pain wraps around your heart like a vine, suffocating the joy. I have felt that suffocation. She could feel it, the collective heartbeat of the village, pulsing in rhythm with her own. A hand shot up from the back. It was a young woman with tears glistening in her eyes. How do we face that pain? How do we find healing? Sarah's heart widened in empathy. By acknowledging it, by not running from it. We must lay bare our wounds. The weight of her past pressed against her but cracked open new understanding inside her. Every scar tells a story, and together, we can find beauty in our scars. There was a shift in the air. A murmuring began, soft at first, then rising like a mighty wave. People began to share their truths, fractured relationships, loss, loneliness pouring forth with courage. Sarah listened as tales of hardship were transformed into testimonies of resilience. She glanced at the face of Rebecca, whose steady gaze filled her with warmth. Sarah felt the power of their shared humanity. Together, we are like a patchwork quilt, each piece vital and unique, stitched together by divine grace. As each story wove into the fabric of the gathering, a radiant light enveloped them. The sun broke free from the clouds, its golden rays cascading down to mingle with the melody of laughter, hope, and healing. The man who posed the question stepped forward again. But what if the stones are too heavy to lift? His voice trembled, revealing his vulnerability. Then we acknowledge them, Sarah replied. We gather around them, inviting God into our brokenness. The Lord can transform our burdens into blessings. He can turn tears into triumph. Could it be so simple? The crowd seemed to lean in closer, hanging on every word. Hope shimmered in the air, a tangible promise of renewal and strength. Suddenly, a heavy thud echoed through the crowd. A rock from a nearby construction site fell from the cart of a passing laborer, landing before them with a resounding crash. Startled, Sarah turned, then noticed something profound. It was not just a rock. The current of energy shifted, and she saw it as a symbol, a physical representation of the barriers they all carried. Look, she exclaimed, pointing to the stone. This is the weight we carry, but together we can lift it. We have the strength within us, ignited by faith. A spark ignited in the eyes of those gathered. One by one, villagers began to step forward, forming a circle around the heavy stone. They gripped hands, pooling their strength and faith together. On the count of 3, Sarah called, her voice strong and steady. 1, 2, 3. Together they pushed. A surge of energy flowed through them as the stone shifted. It was heavy, but not unbearable. They were not alone. As the rock rolled aside, a collective cheer erupted, a sound of victory, of togetherness, of hope blasted into the air. But as the world erupted in celebration, Sarah caught the glimmer of something deeper in the man's eyes, a pain not yet resolved. The crowd was finally set free, yet newcomers' stories still lay undiscovered. Would Sarah be ready to dive deeper into this journey of collective healing? As the vibrations of joy enveloped the celebration, she realized healing was not a destination but a path, a winding road filled with uncharted twists and turns. What awaited them beside the shadows and stones yet uncovered? The air crackled with energy, mingling excitement and a newfound tenderness among the villagers. Sarah glanced around at the faces that had transformed from solemnity to a shared joy. Laughter rang out, mingling with tears, as hearts opened wide, revealing fragments of their souls. Yet, still, she felt the weight of the unsaid, those buried emotions that lingered just below the surface. As the crowd began to disperse, she felt a tug on her sleeve. It was Rebecca, her eyes bright with a unique mixture of hope and worry. "Sarah," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "what if the stones keep rolling back? What if the joy fades, and we're left with the weight again?" Sarah's heart sank at the question. It was the very fear that had haunted her too. "Sometimes the stones do roll back, Rebecca," she confessed, her voice steady. "But that's why we need each other. Healing is not a single event. It's a journey we walk together. Will you walk it with me?" Rebecca asked, vulnerability etched on her face. "Absolutely," Sarah replied, feeling warmth radiate from the bond between them. It was then that Sarah realized the importance of touch, of reaching out and holding each other, even in the invisible scars they carried. The closeness of their shared humanity formed a bridge over unseen abysses. As night began to fall, casting a soft glow across the village, lanterns flickered to life, illuminating the pathways of their lives. A gentle breeze whispered promises of renewal, swirling through the crowd's laughter. The village had transformed into a sanctuary, where walls of stone were becoming walls of strength. Suddenly, a voice broke through the laughter. It was Thomas, an elder known for his wisdom. "Sarah, may I speak?" he beckoned. The villagers turned, their curiosity piqued. With a nod, she welcomed him to share. He stepped forward, the fading light accentuating the lines of age on his face. "Those stones you spoke of, we can learn to see beyond them. Each time one appears, we can ask ourselves, what is this teaching me? What do I need to release?" His words resonated, striking a chord deep within Sarah's heart. The stones were not just burdens. They were also lessons waiting to be embraced. "Yes," she exclaimed, her voice rising in excitement. "Every challenge we encounter is an opportunity for growth. When we navigate the stones together, we're not bound to mere survival, but to flourishing." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and heads nodded in understanding. "Let us mark our fears, our worries, and our stones," Thomas continued, "not with despair, but with joy. Let us celebrate our scars, for they are the signs of survival, the beacons of our resilience." The crowd erupted in applause, and Sarah felt a swell of gratitude rush through her. In this gathering, healing was birthed within vulnerability, and the community's collective strength surged like the tide. As dusk deepened, Sarah suggested they create a sacred space, an altar of sorts, to gather stones for sharing. Each person would bring a represented stone, a story tied to it, leaving it behind as an offering, a release, a letting go. The villagers gathered stones from their pockets, from the earth, and even from their hearts. As they placed each stone on the altar, they released their burdens, weaving a tapestry of hope amidst the gathering darkness. But just as the last stone was laid, Sarah felt a shift in the air, a sense that something greater was stirring. She could hardly comprehend what it meant, but a sacred invitation seemed to linger. What awaited them in the depths of their collective healing? As the night deepened, the lanterns flickered like stars above them, and Sarah smiled, letting the warmth of divine possibility fill her heart. She knew now this journey was just beginning. In the stillness, she whispered a prayer for guidance, her spirit ready to receive what miracles awaited them on the horizon. The weeks passed like a beautiful haze over Springfield, each day woven with stories shared and burdens lifted. Sarah felt the collective healing in her heart. A powerful bond formed among those who dared to be vulnerable. The villagers had embraced their stones, and one by one, the dark corners of their souls began to glow with light. On a bright morning, Sarah woke with a renewed spirit, a sense of excitement sparking within her. Today, a community gathering was planned at St. Mary's Chapel, a celebration of their shared journey, inviting every villager, neighbor, and stranger to witness their miracles. With each step toward the chapel, The warm sun kissed her face and the flowers bloomed vibrantly, echoing the fresh hope that had sprung in her heart. As Sarah entered, she was met by smiling faces. Laughter and chatter filled the air, weaving an atmosphere thick with expectation. The elder Thomas stood at the forefront, guiding everyone into a circle where the altar stood bathed in soft candlelight, surrounded by the stones they had surrendered. Each discarded stone whispered stories, unraveling healing in the air. "Today," began Thomas, his voice steady and deep, "we celebrate not just an end, but a beginning, a journey where we exchange pain for strength." As he spoke, reverence hushed the crowd, eyes sparkling with awe. The first to step forward was Rebecca, her heart brimming with courage. She shared her story, her burdens entwined with hope, and as her words flowed, the room filled with understanding. Murmurs of connection intertwined with her testimony, a tapestry of hearts that resonated with every beat. One by one, villagers took turns stepping into the circle, pulling forth the weight of their stones, revealing the lessons they had learned and the love they had found among one another. Each story was a brushstroke, painting a grand mural of divine grace, illuminating the shadows that once loomed over their spirits. As the sun drifted slowly toward the horizon, Sarah felt a wave of warmth wash over her. It was her turn. Heart racing, she took a deep breath, feeling grounded by the love and faith of her community. "When I came here, I was lost in darkness, captivated by fear. But through every voice and confession shared here, I discovered the transforming power of vulnerability." She spoke passionately, her mind swirling with the grace that had cradled her spirit. Our stories, like the stones we laid down, can be transformed into catalysts of healing. Let us honor not just the shadows but the light we revealed in each other. Tears gleamed in the eyes of many, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had traversed together. At that moment, Sarah felt the stirrings of something grander, a divine invitation to witness not only her fortitude but that of others. As she finished, a soft rustling sound emerged, and the candles flickered, illuminating the room in a warm glow. From the back of the chapel, an unexpected figure appeared, a young girl with bright eyes, her small hands clutching a stone tightly. She hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward, gripping her confession firmly. "I'm scared my dad is sick, and I don't know what to do." Her voice trembled, and an electrifying silence filled the room, hearts aching for her pain. Sarah knelt before her. "Sweetheart, you are not alone," she whispered. "Your fears are real, and they deserve to be shared. We can lift those burdens together." The girl nodded, eyes sparkling with tears, then opened her palm to reveal the stone etched with the word fear. The crowd swayed gently in solidarity, everyone holding onto their own stones that echoed fear in different forms. Thomas stepped forward again, his arms wide. "Come, let us gather around her as a shield of love. We will wrap her in the warmth of faith." As they formed a circle, an eruption of heartfelt prayers surged through the congregation. It was a beautiful cacophony, everyone pouring their love into the young girl, their messages of strength intertwining like ribbons floating on the wind. In that sacred moment, Sarah saw heaven bleed into the earthly realm, a wave of peace washing over each soul. The girl smiled through tears, absorbing the love. An overwhelming sensation swept across the chapel. It was as if they were all one, intertwined in harmony, a family bound by faith. When the prayers lifted like incense into the heavens, Sarah felt a sense of divine completion. The burdens felt lighter today. The shadows, though sometimes still nearby, were now scattered by rays of light. They embraced the lingering possibility of trials, knowing that every struggle could ignite a resurgence of faith. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues that poured through the stained glass, Sarah grasped hands with her children and the villagers nearby. Hope radiated from their faces. Healing was never a destination but a way of life, a testament to inclusion, love, and an unwavering belief in God's divine purpose flowing through it all. With aching hearts, they released their stones onto the altar. In surrender, they were met with immeasurable joy, unshackled from fears tied to their pasts. And with every collective breath, they embraced their present, ready to step into the future, ignited by their stories of grace. Together, we are greater than our fears. Sarah said softly, her heart swelling, knowing every story shared would forever be a thread connecting their divine journey. In this vibrant tapestry, they found not just healing but a community of faith walking closely, hand in hand, light scattering the darkness, guiding them to the next sacred chapter filled with love, hope, and the heartbeats of a family devoted to remain faithful, no matter the storms that may arise. Now, beloved community, this is your moment. Don't wait another second to subscribe to our channel for the next exclusive faith stories that will surely inspire. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm with power and ignite this light. Your comments are vital. Share your reactions and testimonies about this spectacular ending. And you must share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this miraculous manifestation today. Your actions matter. True servants of God understand the importance of supporting our journey together. Unleash the blessings and share. Share. Share.